Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Kate. You'll be hearing more from them later. I want to say good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for coming and braving the stormy weather tonight. Our goal tonight is to help end stigma and raise our voices in the fight against mental illness. There are a few people that this show wouldn't be made possible without, and I just want to kind of thank those people. First of all, our 2016 season of shows wouldn't be possible without the support of our national sponsor, Alchemies. I want to say thank you to the Coralville Public Library, our little neighbors over there, for hosting our auditions. Our photographer, Seth, who is around here somewhere, there he is right there, say hi to him. Eric Dickerson, who's recording the show tonight, thank you so much. And Zion Lutheran Church, which played a huge part in our bonding experience and our rehearsals. Every Sunday was an absolute joy going there and being able to hear everybody's stories and just bond during the past 3 or 4 months. There's also a couple other people, Hospers and Brothers Printing, who printed the beautiful programs that you have in your hands tonight. NAMI of Johnson County, who actually is out in the lobby tonight, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to go and talk to them. Midwest One, University of Iowa Community Credit Union, Kiwanis of Iowa City, Hills Bank, Little Village, David Van Allen Studios, which if you've never been there, you need to go there. It's absolutely gorgeous. He let us rehearse there and it was beautiful. So I got all that out of the way, but I also have a couple other housekeeping items. If you guys noticed in your programs, you have these little surveys. Did you see your surveys? Everybody nod your heads. So what those are is, it's a pre-show and a post-show survey. And what we'd like you to do is fill out the front side, fill out the pre-show stuff before you watch the show, and then do the post-show after. The goal of this is they're doing a study to see if shows like this help change your opinions of mental illness. So it's very, very important that we get these results back because then we can keep doing really cool stuff like this. The other thing I want to do is I want everyone to take out their cell phone. Oh, you guys follow directions so well. Good job. Good job. So you're probably going to think I'm going to ask you to turn it off. And while I may ask you to silence it, I'm going to ask you to keep it out. And I'm going to ask you to keep it out for the whole show. And I'm going to ask you to snap as many pictures as you want. And I'm going to ask you to tweet. And I'm going to ask you to Instagram and hang out on Facebook and do all the things. Because the more that we can be out there and that people can hear these stories, the more we'll make a difference. So as you're doing all that and being really super social on social media, I want you to use the hashtag. It's in your program, the Live Brave hashtag. Use it on everything. And then you can, our wonderful interns back in Washington, D.C. will see all that, and they will retweet you and regram you and all those fun things. So, and you know, here's the thing. This show is really based on storytelling. I mean, that's the basis of the whole thing, right? We have really brave people come up and tell their stories. And I want to just tell you a quick story about last night. So we were at rehearsal at my house last night, and we were all sitting around, and I said, oh my gosh, you guys, do you know that tomorrow is Friday the 13th? Like, I was super freaked out. I'm very superstitious. Like, seriously, the kids opened an umbrella in the house yesterday. I refused to touch it. I said, nope, someone else touched that. I am not touching it. So I was like, did you also know that there are 13 acts in the show? And they're like, oh my goodness. And then I said, and then Joe Sorensen piped up and he said, do you know that there are 13 letters in This Is My Brave? And then my mind was just blown. I was like, oh my gosh, mind completely blown. So I'm not a numbers person, I'm a words person. I'm a writer. I don't get hung up too much on numbers, but there are some numbers that are really important, and that's like 1 in 4. Did you know that 1 in 4 people have a mental illness? 1 in 4. So that would mean like in the row right there that at least 2 of you have a mental illness. And then did you also know that every year more than 800,000 people die from suicide? That's 1 every 40 seconds. Out of those people, 22 veterans each day die from suicide. Those are staggering numbers. Even me as a numbers person, I find those staggering. Also, half of all chronic mental illness begins at the age of 14. That kind of makes me want to cry. Like, really want to cry. Here's the scoop, though. You can't sit there and you can't get the full story just by these numbers, right? You know, I'm a writer. I'm into words. So the best way that you can learn about mental illness is by hearing stories, because stories matter. They bring people together, they provide comfort, they impact change, and the change begins here, tonight, right? You guys are all part of it. You guys are all here. We thank you for that. So tonight, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take you on a little journey. And this journey is gonna be told through the voices of my cast members. And I'll be honest, not all of them are happy, but neither are they sad. You know, they're really full of hope and they're inspiring, and really, in some cases, they're downright hilarious. So feel free to laugh, like seriously. They say you never know what a person is going through until you travel a mile in their shoes. And tonight, you're not going to be able to travel a mile, but you will be able to travel at least an hour in the shoes of the people who have been affected by mental illness. You will get a taste of what it's like from every aspect, but it won't paint a full picture unless you've been there. So I'm going to begin with my story, and then I'm going to turn it over to my brave cast, and they will tell their stories in their own words. And I hope with every word that's spoken, the voices of mental illness will finally be heard. So let's get started. If you're new here, you might not be aware. See, I'm a crazy person. Like, literally certifiably crazy. Doctor said so. I've written about my borderline personality disorder and about my son's struggles with his own demons, and we all work through it together as a family, and everyone tries to understand, but for those who don't suffer from mental illness, it's just really, really hard to comprehend. I can't count how many times people just say, snap out of it, or just laugh a little. You need a better sense of humor. Let me give you a tip. Laughter is not the cure. Empathy is. To those of you that have no idea how someone could end their life, or why your wife is curled up in the fetal position crying for what appears to be no reason, or why the person who seems to have it all together is crumbling inside, here's what mental illness feels like. You jump into a pool. And each time you try to swim to the surface, a hand grabs your ankle and pulls you back down. And you can see people on the edge of the pool, and they're laughing, and they're smiling, and they're waving at you to come up for air. But each time you try to swim up, you're just pulled back down again. And eventually, after so much struggling, you just give up. And you just sit at the bottom of the pool, and you watch as life floats you by. You're unable to join in the fun, unable to reach up to the light you always see. You're just trapped there in the darkness. And soon the light at the top of the pool becomes fainter and fainter. Your lungs, deprived of oxygen, begin to fill with water, and soon you're just consumed. Not one person reached down to pull you up. Not one person jumped in the pool with you. You're just all alone and suffering in the darkness. For those of us with mental illness, that's how we feel every single day. So often those at the edge of the pool just become so frustrated or angry because you just aren't yourself today. Well, really, no shit. I'm not myself every day. It's just that today I let my guard down. Today, the world feels like it's closing in on me, and I feel like I'm suffocating. And the only way to relieve the pain is to end it. Just end it all. I'm done. See, you want your wife, your daughter, your mother back, but the person you know is just a farce. See, there's so much more, and you just aren't ready to face it. And those of us suffering, we just live in shame. We've disappointed you yet again because we let Pandora open the box and all the shit came streaming out. Even though maybe once in a great while when the shitstorm hits, it decimates everything in its path. In an effort to squelch the storm, we pop pills and we see therapists, but the reality is just mental illness is just never cured. It's wrangled like a beast in a cage, and it lurks under the surface, always ready to escape. Those of us with brains in overdrive, we see life differently, and experiences are magnified exponentially. There are days when we can't stop the beast from emerging. On those days, we need you, all of you. The spouse, the brother, the sister, the mother, the father, the friend, we need you to reach out and hold our hand. Reassure us that the monster inside is only a small part of who we are, that we are so much more than our illness. This monster will not take us, and we will not live in fear and worry. Just tell us that you will help us slay the monster, that no matter what happens, you will always love us. I can tell you this as I battled my own monsters. I've attempted suicide 5 times. My earliest being in high school. I've had my stomach pumped 3 times, my wrist bandaged twice. I've popped countless pills, visited a plethora of therapists. My mom and my husband are in the audience out there, and I'm sure they're kind of surprised by this. And their hearts are probably breaking. I'm sure they wonder what they could have done differently, but here's the scoop. The reality is sometimes holding us tightly just may not be enough. The monster has already consumed us. Ending it all is not a selfish decision. I get really pissed when people say that. It's a strong and albeit weirdly brave decision to step off that cliff and let the monster consume you. In a way, it's like you're making a sacrifice. All the pain and guilt you've held in forever and the wake of pain you've caused others, it just disappears. In that one moment, you make the final decision to fall. I've been there, and I know. It's a physical pain that unless you've experienced it, you will have no concept of its engulfing power and its ability to lure you to the depths of sadness and lock you there forever. You feel your only escape is the end. That's why we need an army. Those of us with mental illness need our family and friends to stand on the battlefield with us. Even if you don't understand it or you don't get it, please just hold our hand and stand by us as we fight this fight. We're strong, don't get me wrong, we're very strong. But sometimes the monster is stronger, and it takes many warriors to wage a war. Even on the days when we appear to have it all together, the fight still wages on, and we still need you. Together, we will defeat the monster of mental illness so that no one needs to wage this battle alone, because this monster cannot take another victim. Thank you.